Hereafter is directed by Clint Eastwood and came out late 2010, and I think it was supposed to be an Oscar contender, but it didn't really happen for him. Sort of 2 years in a row now, last year with Invictus and now this year with Hereafter. And basically what it's about is there's three stories. If you watch the trailers, you get the idea that it's all about this Matt Damon story who plays a psychic who doesn't want to be a psychic. He puts that part of his life behind him and he's trying to move on and be a regular person. But as we know from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, and it'll always catch up with you. It's circular. It's all connected.
All right.
And the other stories that are less in the trailer, and may take you by surprise if you're renting this, is there's a French journalist who gets caught in a tsunami and has a near-death experience, and ever since the experience, she's having these weird flashes of the hereafter, of the afterlife, and she doesn't know why, and she's trying to figure it out, and she just isn't herself anymore. And the last story is about these two identical twins, young boys, live in Britain, and one of them dies, and the other one is desperately looking for answers and wants to reconnect. While his mother is in rehab and he's in foster homes. And so eventually you're waiting for all these three stories to intersect as these type of movies, you know, the Babels and the Crashes and Traffics. And, you know, this is almost sort of a end of the year Oscar contender genre, these multiple stories genres. So you're waiting for them to intersect and see what they have to do with each other. And they don't really have much to do with each other. And I think that's the biggest disappointment in the movie, as with any of these kinds of movies. When you can pull it off and, you know, get all these stories to tie in together really nicely, you can create something really, really nice, and you can say something sort of profound. But if you just like, okay, well, let's find a set piece where they all intersect and find a reason for them to coexist, then it's a little disappointing. I did, however, like the movie a lot more than I thought I would. I thought the Matt Damon story especially was interesting, and I was very invested in that. I really liked the story with the twins. I think the movie lags with the story with the French journalist. I think it's less interesting, not necessarily because of the acting or anything like that. I just don't think it was as well developed. I don't think the filmmaker was as interested in that story either. And so whenever those scenes happen, you're kind of just waiting for them to end. But all in all, I like the pacing. I like the mood of the movie, if not just a little cliche and a little overly sentimental at times. But I give it a B.
Give it a B. All right. I was slightly more disappointed in this movie.
Okay.
I gave it a C.
All right.
Mostly because I read the back, and when I read the back, I said, this is going to be crap. wasn't even gonna watch it, but then
so
you're like,
expectations were low.
No, then you're like, we're gonna review it. I'm like, well, crud. So sit down and watch it. But yeah, the three storylines. Usually, I like the multiple stories. There's a lot of good ones out there, but this one seemed kind of more like they made the Matt Damon story, and then they realized they didn't have a full movie, so they just had to make these other
fill it out a little bit.
Make these other two movies, and it's just kind of like. They seemed very separate from it. And then you go to the artsy idea of, oh, well, death is the great bringer together. They all brought death. And I'm like, no. Also, I'm one of those afterlife, afterlife kind of people.
Yeah.
So instantly, I'm already put off by this movie.
So you weren't a huge fan of Ghost?
Ghost Dad. Ghost Dad, but Ghost, no.
Ghost Dad.
We love you, Bill Cosby. So, but yeah, no. I was also as you mentioned, you can watch the beginning. It's all in French. You're like, did I get the right movie? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of angry people out there like, this is French. Probably never even watched it. So if you get
I do think that opening sequence is pretty amazing.
Quite good.
And it really throws you into the movie.
It does.
Unfortunately, the rest of the movie doesn't really live up to that. But.
Yeah. I mean, I watched the whole thing. It still kept me interested. So that's why I give it a C, because I was still watching it. But as far as the movie went altogether, it seemed very kind of hodgepodge.
It seemed very like Oscar bait.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to really throw in those hard emotions and get you to cry. And there were times where I was kind of feeling it, and then there were times where I could kind of see through it.
Yeah, you're kind of like, oh, okay, you want me to feel this way.
Yeah, exactly. A little
defiant.
manipulative.
But yeah, especially the twin story. It was the one where they're really trying to